Hi and welcome to another video, part of this series where we're building an e-commerce website with Django and React. If you'd like to follow along, you'll just need to clone or download the Django React e-commerce GitHub project. The link is in the description of this video. And once you have this, we can get started. So in this one, we're going to add some functionality. We're just going to go here to the cart. What we want to do is be able to remove items from the cart or to increase or decrease the quantity right here in the order summary. So that's what we're going to be working on. So we're going to just jump back here in the code, go into containers, into the order summary, and here's where we want to add that functionality. So that's going to be here where we have order item.quantity. We're going to want to render something out there that allows us to increase or decrease or just specify the quantity of that item. And then at the end of the row, we could add some icon here that if you click it, will remove the item. So we can come back in here. That's going to be the easiest part, so we'll start with that. After the order item final price, we can just add something in here, which is just going to be an icon. I'll give it a name and say it's, let's say, something like trash can, but let's just see if we have it imported. Okay. So then we can come back here. So if we search for trash, we get the name trash there. So I'm going to save that, come back here, and there it is. What we can do is add the color. I'm going to make it red. I'm also going to add some style, and I'm going to say float right. So if we come back, then it's there at the end. And I'm going to add an on-click listener. And when we click, we want to call this.handle remove item. So then we can just come and bring a method here, handle remove item. And it's going to take in an item ID, which is what we'll use to identify the item, and then remove it from the cart. We'll have to send a post request to our server for that to be handled. So here we could just call auth access.post to something like remove item. We're going to pass the item ID. And most likely the easiest way to do this is actually with a delete request. So we simply just delete the order item. We can also just scroll up here and grab some of this logic here. So a dot then and a catch. I'm just going to get rid of most of that. So we'll get rid of loading and over there, and we most likely won't even set the state in there. Instead, what we'll do is call some sort of callback handler so that we can refresh the cart. So let's just head over into the core API views, and we're going to add an order item delete view. If we scroll up and just look for any views relating to that model, and we don't, so we'll just say class order item delete view, which is going to inherit from the destroy API. We're going to say that the permission classes equals to is authenticated. We're going to set the query set, and it's going to be order item dot objects dot all. Then we can bring the order item delete view into the URLs, just import it there. We'll come here to the bottom and we can just add another path. This one we can say is order items with a primary key to identify that specific order item, and then say /delete and use the order item delete view, and we'll call this order item delete. Okay. Then we can go into our constants to add that URL. So I'll just do that one here at the bottom. And it's going to actually look pretty similar to the address delete URL. So we can just say this is order item delete URL, which is going to go to order items /id /delete. Then we can take that into the order summary, and I'll just bring it in over here. Then we can say handle delete will send a delete request. It's going to send a delete request to order item delete URL and we'll pass in the item ID as the requirement for this function. Then when we get a response, the callback is basically just going to fetch that order again, so we can just call handle fetch order. So here, say this dot handle fetch order. Okay, handle remove item is linked up to this icon here. So if we take a look at this, and before we actually do that, let's just add here cursor is pointer. And if we come back and if we just inspect and come back here, and actually before doing that, there's one more thing we're forgetting here. We need to make this an anonymous function so that we can pass in the ID of the item that we want to delete. So that's going to be order item dot ID. Now if we come back and we can just clear that out, hit there, and there we go. So that successfully deletes items from the cart. We can actually refresh it to be sure, and it is. We can also go to the layout and remove that console log over here. There we go. Cool. So that is how we can remove an item from the cart. Let's just go back to those products. We'll go and add another one. So let's just pick here, click add, go to the profile. Okay. So now what we want to do is to basically dynamically update the quantity. Now we are fetching the total item price from the server. This is to make sure that no matter what you do, you can't manipulate the item price that you're about to pay for. So the price is always determined from the server and not from the client. So it would be ideal to be able to update the quantity here, and then the item price would obviously remain the same, but the total item price would update based on the quantity, and the order total would also update. But that would mean that the calculations that are already taking place on the server would then need to take place on the client side as well, which is not a bad thing. It's just that to make sure that whatever's being displayed here is the actual price that you're going to pay, we're going to just refresh the cart every time you update the quantity, as that'll make sure that no matter what you do, it's always fetching the actual order total and not allowing you to manipulate it in some way. So what we'll do is just add two buttons here, one to plus and one to minus. That way you can then edit the quantity right here, similar to what we're doing here with this delete button. So what I'll do is grab this icon, come here into the order quantity, and then just paste it twice. Then this first icon is going to be like a plus. Let's just see if they have that. So plus, and then this will be, let's see if they have minus. Cool. The color I'm just going to get rid of. So we'll have the default color, and we can also get rid of this on click listener there, which will add as something else. Okay, let's just bring it back just so we see what it looks like. Okay, cool. So that's fine. What I'm actually going to do is bring that in the middle of them, and I'm going to set this one to be float left. And we can actually check in the table. There should be a way for us to align items, so text alignment, and we can actually check it here. Text align. Okay, cool. So text align center is what we're looking for this one. Just add it there. Come back here. Cool. That's exactly what we want. Just now we're going to need to swap the order here. So just bring that one and then change this one to be left, this one to be right. Cool. So that's what we want. Plus there, minus there. So if we click the plus button, it's going to increase the quantity. And this is basically just like adding the entire item to the cart again. So we can actually take a look at the product detail and look here at the handle add to cart method. Here, basically what's happening is it's taking in the variations and the slug of this item and posting it to the add to cart URL. We basically just want to copy that, come here in order summary, and if we take a look, we'll just put it here. Now we just want to make sure that this method takes in the exact same data and posts it in the exact same way because this is what's required. So, and then before we do that, let's also just bring handle fetch order over here so that we fetch the order after we add another item to cart. So we'll also need add to cart URL imported, which we can just bring over there. Okay. Then handle add to cart URL is going to be brought over here to the plus icon. So handle add to cart. And what we can actually do is just come over here, say console.log data, come back. Here we have order items, and inside each order item, we have the item object, and that's the actual object that we want to pass in this method here, handle add to cart, because there's the slug, and then here are the item variations. So we'll just need to format these item variations to grab the primary keys here, because those are the variations that we need to pass in the request, and then along with the slug. So we won't have form data that we need to get, and what we can do is we can pass in the item variations as one of the parameters for this function. Then we can call handle format data on the item variations, and let's actually use camel case like that. Then handle format data is going to look pretty similar to what we have in this file over here. So we'll just bring it in there. And it's the exact same thing, converting an object with keys into an array, except in this case, we just want the ID. So ID of 1 will be brought into the array, and then the next one with ID of 2 will be brought into the array. So actually, it looks like this. ID 1, and then ID 2, like that. So we'll change form data to be item variations. And what we want to do is map through the array, and then for every object in the array, return .id. So we actually want to return that ID property of each object, and that will give us an array like that. So handle format data, we pass on the item variations. That means our handle add to cart needs to take in the slug and the item variations, which we can access the slug from each order item dot item. So since we're looping through the order items here, this is going to be order item dot item dot slug, and we can see it over here as there's the slug. Then item variations is part of the order item, so the second argument is going to be order item dot item variations, like that. So if we come back and we hit plus, cool, we can see that it was incremented to 2, and we see the item price was updated, the order total was updated, and that's exactly how we want it to look. Now we want to do the same thing for the minus button, and this is going to require its own method. So we'll call this one handle remove from cart. In fact, remove quantity from cart. Then we can come up here. We'll say that this is just an anonymous function for now. We're going to then first check what the quantity is of the item we're trying to remove, because right now we have 2. So if we click the minus button, we know that we just want to decrease the quantity. We don't want to actually remove the item from the cart. But if it was 1 item in the cart for now, then clicking the minus button should remove that item. So we have to check what the quantity is of the item. So we'll pass in quantity like that. And then here, we want to make sure that we grab the quantity of this order item. So that's going to be .item .quantity. We can actually double check that over here. Order items, and actually no, it's order item .quantity. Okay, so if we save that, then here we can check if quantity greater than 1, then we're going to call decrease quantity of item. Otherwise, we simply just call handle remove item. So this dot handle remove item, it's going to need the item ID as a parameter, so we might as well pass it in over here, quantity and item ID. So here we'll need to pass that in over here. So that'll be order item dot ID, like that. Okay, and let's see, we're unauthorized. So if we're unauthorized in the order summary, we also want to be redirected. So we can do the exact same thing as we did for our profile view. If we just come over here, we can grab the constant map state to props. We can come all the way down here. We can grab the connect method and call this on order summary. Okay, then we just need to import connect and redirect. So both of these come all the way to the top here, and we can import this in one line there. Then we'll just go to the render method, and in there we have a return checking if we are authenticated. So we can come in here and we can do the same thing. Cool. So just like that. So now it redirects us, and now we can just go log in. We can head off to our cart, and we actually have a method that handles this logic. If we just go into core and into views, we actually have a method that does exactly what we want it to do. So we'll just convert that into an API view. And let's just see here. So add to cart, remove from cart. So that is actually removing the item itself, so no matter what the quantity is. Then we have remove single item from cart, and you can see here it's saying if order item quantity is greater than 1, then decrease the quantity and then save the item, otherwise just remove it from the order itself. So I'm going to copy all of this. We're going to go into the API, into views. I'm going to create a class which is going to be order quantity update view, which will just be an API view. I'm going to say define post, which will take self, request, it'll take args and keyword args. And then here we can get rid of this remove single item from cart, then just tab this all in. Okay, so first we get the object or404, which we have imported, of the item where the slug equals the slug being passed in. So we can just say slug equals to request.data.get slug or none. So if slug is none, then we want to return a response which will just say, let's say the message here is incorrect or invalid data, and we can say status equals to an HTTP 400 error. Otherwise we continue, we get the item, we get the order and filter it based on the user. If the order exists, we continue. Otherwise we'll need to return a response. So I'll just copy that response there, and instead of returning a redirect, we return the response and say you do not have an active order, like that. Then we can actually replace these redirects here with responses as well. So this is going to be, this item was not in your cart, like that. And then we can do another one here. We can say this item quantity was updated, and this is not going to be an HTTP 400, this is going to be a 200. So just like that. And we actually don't even need the message. The fact that it's a successful response is good enough. So that seems to be fine. So we can take order quantity update view into the URLs here. I'll bring it in over there. And then we can just go and add another path here. This won't take any primary keys. So we can just say order item / update quantity. And we'll use order quantity update view, and I'll just copy all of this and then change it like that. Cool. Then in the constants, create another one there. This won't take any ID, and just copy this entire path. So it's going to go to that URL. Then we can call it order item update quantity URL. We can bring this into our order summary and just bring it in there. Then when we come down here, handle remove quantity from cart, we won't even need to do this anymore because we saw that this view handles that logic regardless of the quantity that it currently has. So in this logic over here, so we can actually just get rid of all of that. We don't even need the quantity. So we just need the item ID, and we can just bring auth access in there. We'll send a post request like this, and we just need to pass in the correct data that's required over here. So that's going to be the slug. So not even the item ID is required, just pass in slug like that. And it seems that's all that's needed. So here where we use handle remove quantity from cart, we can simply just pass in order item.item.slug. Okay, so with all of that, let's go back here. I'll clear that out, click the minus button, and it works. Click the plus button, and let's see if we go from 1 to 0. And there we go. So it perfectly updates the cart. And now we are dynamically updating the quantity in our order summary, which is exactly what we wanted. So that's where we're going to end this video. So if you enjoyed it, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought. And otherwise, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.